Good evening, everyone. We're going to start our board meeting. Could everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amanda, will you call the roll?
Trustee Messick?
Here.
Trustee Rocco?
Here.
Trustee Sheehan?
Here.
Trustee Casera?
Here.
Trustee Lautner?
Here.
Trustee Zora?
Here.
President DeCipio?
Here.
Quorum is present, sir.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have a presentation to do. Chief, would you join me? Great to see such a large crowd here for all of our firefighters that are going to be tonight. Also, it's a privilege of mine to have the opportunity to introduce a distinguished member of our community, Mr. Joe Slavic. A couple of things that the family has provided for me, I'm going to mention. Joe was born the same year the Titanic sank. Loved driving. He was honored in D.C. and went on a jet for the first time. And he's lived in Grange Park for the last 6 years. Joe is a distinguished member of our community because he served in the war. Veteran. Whereas much to the delight of Mary and Joe Slavic, 103 years ago, Joseph Martin Slavic was born. Whereas at the tender age of 12, Joseph became a milk truck driver to help with his family's finances. Whereas Joseph carried the love of his life, Irene. He was blessed with 3 wonderful daughters, 14 grandchildren, and 18 great-grandchildren. Whereas from 1944 to 1946, Joseph performed the highest form of citizenship in defending our nation during World War II. Whereas Joseph served under General George Patton and was among those in the front lines during the Battle of the Bulge. Whereas after returning home from the war, Joseph had a fulfilling career with the Chicago Transit Authority for 27 years. Whereas after his retirement, he continued working at the Arlington Park racetrack until the age of 94. Whereas Joseph now spends leisure days with his family, watching his favorite pastime sport, baseball. Cubs fan. Whereas he is an active supporter of the police department and how they serve and protect our community on a daily basis. In addition to being a wonderful husband, father, grandfather, and great-grandfather, Joseph has been a good neighbor and friend of the Grange Park community. Now, therefore, in recognition of his service to our country and his appreciation of law enforcement, I, Dr. Jim DeCipio, President of the Grange Park, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, September 27, 2016, as Joseph Slavic Day in the Village of Grange Park, and name him an honorary auxiliary officer for the day. Okay, next on the agenda is the swearing-in ceremony of paid-on-call firefighters. Could all of them please come up to the front of the room, Chief? Okay, the following personnel are all currently probationary paid-on-call firefighters with our village. Each of them began employment with our village on January 7th, 2015. Andy Chorley grew up in LaGrange Park and lives in the 700 block of Homestead with his family. His father is a retired paid-on-call lieutenant with the fire department, and his mother is a longtime employee with the village, currently serving as senior fiscal assistant for the finance and building departments. Matt Dahl grew up in Western Springs but moved to LaGrange Park and now lives with his wife and children in our village in the 1400 block of Stonegate. His full-time employment is in digital media production. Mike Hughes lives in our village in the 800 block of Catherine with his wife and children. His full-time career is in the healthcare industry and medical imaging. Josh Johnson lives in the 1100 block of Cleveland in our village. He lives with his wife and children and is employed full-time as an electrician for a waterproofing and foundation repair company. And John Moore lives in the 1400 block of Scottdale in our village with his family. Outside of his employment with us, he has been employed in the private sector of emergency medical services. Shortly after being hired by the village, all of these firefighters attended a firefighter training academy, which is hosted by the Western Springs Fire Department and attended by candidate firefighters from both LaGrange Park and Western Springs. They each dedicated a great amount of time on both weeknights and weekends for training over several months by attending classroom sessions, learning and demonstrating practical skills, and in participating in live fire exercises. Following the completion of the firefighting academy, most of these personnel then had to attend an EMT course, which again required several additional months of training and studying. As such, each of these firefighters have now met all the fire department requirements for probation. They are each state of Illinois certified firefighters and also licensed emergency medical technicians. They have each been trained in all of our fire department operations and recently completed and passed required testing on the operation of fire department vehicles. We recommend swearing in all of the noted probationary firefighters as paid-on-call firefighters for the LaGrange Park Fire Department. Chief, will you do the honors? Amanda?
Sure. Can I just ask each of them to maybe introduce and show your family or any friends that you might have there?
My name is Andy Troy, as you heard. My family is in fourth row from Grange. My name is Matt Dahl. My family is here. My mother, my two brothers, my sister-in-law, my niece and nephew, Henry and Violet, and my wife, Justine.
My name is Mike Hughes. My wife and my son are right there. So my extended family are behind them there. And my brothers and the chief from Western Springs are also there for us. Thanks for coming out, guys.
Cool.
I'm Joshua Johnson. I'm joined here by my family in the third row here on the end. I have my son Jacob, my daughter Nina, my wife Margaret, my mother and father. Thank you for coming.
I'm Jonathan Moore. My family's in the front row. I got my father, my mother, and my girlfriend.
Thank you, and welcome, and thank you all for coming out and supporting these young men, mostly young men. Amanda, if you want to come up front and swear them in.
Repeat after me. I hereby solemnly swear that I will uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America and the
just mix them up, it doesn't matter. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Always.
If you can come back up in the same order, it would be great. Again, thanks to everyone who's come out this evening to support our newly sworn-in firefighters. I'd just like to take a moment to say a few words about these men and specifically about the journey they've been on to bring them here tonight. First off, though, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Matt Joyce. Matt is one of our firefighters who also passed his probationary period but couldn't be here tonight. He has a commitment with his full-time employer this evening that he couldn't get out of. We're sorry he couldn't be here, but that's kind of the nature of the beast with our type of department. Being that he's part-time and he has commitments elsewhere, we do miss him, and we will formally honor him at an upcoming board meeting for those who can come. As noted earlier by the village president, each of these men were hired in January of 2015. Very shortly after, they began attending the firefighting academy. And because of our organizational structure and the paid-on-call positions they hold, they attended the firefighting academy on nights and weekends. Even though they're considered to be paid-on-call or part-time, they still require the same certification and basic recruit training of any firefighter in the state of Illinois, whether career, part-time, paid-on-call, and in some cases, some of the volunteers step up and get this certification, many cases. Again, they're firefighters, and just because of our organization, the way we're structured, it doesn't make the job any easier. In fact, sometimes it makes it quite hard. In addition to all their other duties in life, they have to find time to participate here and show up. It also doesn't make it any less safe. Again, we usually try not to worry about those things, but just like any job of this nature, we preach safety every day, we teach safety every day, and in everything we do. If you haven't heard, in the last 4 days, there's been 3 tragic firefighter deaths, and just heard of a 4th one. 2 firefighters fell through a floor in Wilmington, Delaware 2 nights ago, and a fire department New York chief got injured in an explosion and succumbed to his injuries today, and that happened overnight. So it is a dangerous job, but thankfully in our suburb, we're pretty safe. We have a good fire record, but we do spend a great amount on training, and these guys included, through the recruit training, spent a great deal on safety to do the job efficiently and safe. I only mention that because they do have a critical job. I don't want to, scare anybody or think it's horrible. They enjoy their job, and they hopefully will have fun doing it. But they are well trained because that is an aspect of the job. Again, we were very fortunate for the academy that they were able to attend and to work together with the Western Springs Fire Department and attend an academy that was actually hosted by the Village of Western Springs. We had participated in the past with Western Springs, but not in such a structured model of a fire academy, and a lot of that most of it goes to the dedication that the Village of Western Springs and Training Officer Gallagher put into structuring that academy. And if you could stand up, Pat. Now, supported by Pat were many officers from Western Springs, many of their participating firefighters, but also a number of our officers and firefighters. It took everybody to get through this academy, and not because they're bad, they're great, but to make it so as good as it was. These gentlemen came out very well trained, and there was a group effort led by Patrick, but with everybody, including many of our personnel, that took the time and effort to train these personnel right. And I applaud them for how hard they trained, because a lot of them took it extremely seriously, which they should, and got here tonight. As part of that academy, just a little bit more, I don't want to keep you all night, but many times there were 2 classroom sessions a week, and then they had to go to class on a weekend, mostly handling some of their practical skills. This went on for about 5 months. This also, as I said, they had to balance their full-time careers, a few cases also their families, and children for those who have them. this was a whole nother world and a whole nother commitment beyond just having a regular life in one job. During that time, as they got better trained, they were allowed to ride on vehicles. For the first, I think, 2 or 3 months, they couldn't even come to fire calls. They have to put their time into training. Eventually, they were allowed to come to calls, and by the end of the academy, they were more active participants. Once that academy ended, it wasn't over. Most of them were not EMTs or emergency medical technicians. We have a requirement in Grange Park that once you're done with your fighter certification, you also have to become a licensed EMT. So they then went to EMT school, which was about another semester for most of them. In addition to that, as that went on, they had to attend our regular training drills almost every Monday night or Tuesday morning. They had to sign up for EMS standby duty, which means they take shifts in addition to their other jobs. They have to maintain call percentage, which means they have to come back for so many calls so they stay involved, among a number of other special training sessions. Again, getting to this point is extremely commendable, and they should be commended for such. But they also, unfortunately, can't consider their work done. They've been here less than 2 years and it accomplished a lot. But in fact, their commitment must continue. The real challenges, as they'll find out, and I'm sure they've thought about, are ahead, and many of our other personnel have faced them. Staying involved with changes in your daily lives, addition of children in some cases, problems or issues in your family, taking on more of a leadership role. Once they graduate, they still have a lot to learn, or once they get sworn in, they have a lot to learn, and a lot of calls to go on to gain experience. But a key job of every firefighter here to the end of your career is passing that knowledge on and making the next person better, and getting the most out of our department by sharing that knowledge and teaching. So that's still ahead for them. I know some of them have started already. They're pretty good. They'll be teaching our new hires or our less experienced personnel down the road. They, even though it seems new tonight and swearing in is a big step, they are the future of this village's fire department. They're the future for our residents. Our residents will depend on them for a long time, hopefully. Once again, I'd like to thank the family for being here tonight. We do have one small event to finish up here. As you see, they're in a nice blue uniform, but they don't have a badge on them. And we kind of make it a ceremony to do a traditional pinning of the badge, that when you get off probation and you're officially sworn in and you completed all your basic training, you get that badge to wear. It's kind of a stepping stone and a tradition. So I'm going to ask, I think they're prepared to have somebody come up and actually pin the badge on each of them. So if you want to have your family members come up, or whoever. Why don't we start down here with Andy? Andy, I know you introduced him, but you want to introduce who this guy is who's putting the badge on you? This old guy who showed up?
They're Jeff Chorley. He's retired lieutenant here in Grange Park. And he did put in 32 years of hard work, excellent hard work.
My beautiful, loving, and supportive wife, Christine. Firefighter in training.
All right.
This is my beautiful wife, Starla. Couldn't have done this without her. She kind of backed up our business, and this is my little boy here,
Real hard.
This is my beautiful and supportive family.
Marlene.
Once again, thank you for your family support through all this training, through future years, and congratulations on an extremely well done job.
So not are we only privileged to have the Chief of Western Springs with us tonight, Chief Gallagher, but we also have a community member of ours who's the Fire Chief of Hinsdale, Chief Ranowski. So you family members, we just want to express our gratitude to all of you for allowing us the privilege of having your son, husband, brother, serve our department in the village of LaGrange Park. We are privileged, as our police department and Chief Rampa and Chief Magus and the fire department, they put their lives on the line every day for every one of us in the community of LaGrange Park. And it doesn't go unnoticed, and we're very appreciative of everything that they do when they have to be called out to a fire and they have to leave their home. So thank all of you and the fraternity that you guys have as firefighters, all of you showing up in support of these gentlemen is quite an honor to see, and thank you all for serving. Now, I'm sure there's celebrations somewhere, so.
You really are gonna clear the room out.
No, there's not.
Yeah, I just knew it was.
Is it?
He's from Western Springs.
I don't see Steve here.
Yeah, but I think he's short.
I think it is. He lives in the Green Park. Yeah. I forget which one it is.
She's on the one place where there was Janet Dow. Okay. I think he's short.
He's there.
His radio show runs late too. Like 4 to 8 or 7. I don't know what. But I know one of his kids is named Matt. He has 3
That's
sons.
him. Because I heard he lived in the Grange Park on Beach.
Move him out.
That's good doll's good.
Who's going to the firefighter? There's a few things. Clear the room. How to maintain the exit ways.
Right.
That's awesome.
Were you there for the part when they were talking about the signs at the Cosmo, the signs? Oh, at the Thursday? Yeah, wasn't it, that was interesting, I thought.
Yeah. There's one guy.
Okay, next is public participation. If anyone would care to address the board, please step up to the mic and give us your name and address.
My name is Jeffrey Allen, 1119 Community Drive. I came here out of concern over the air traffic that we recently experienced. Was it the 12th? I've been listening to these planes for over a year, actually. The 12th was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, which was over 24 hours of air traffic over our town. But over the last year or more, they've been coming over during storms and whatnot, and I thought it might be something to do with just shifting winds. And the way our storms have been coming, they come, they hit, and they're gone. So it wasn't like a lot of air traffic, but they were. I've been monitoring this for over a year. So this isn't new. The September 12th wasn't new. I want to make sure that everyone understands that in case they have better insulation in their houses or something than I do. I have video or photos of flights over LaGrange Park from August 20th, August 26th. I think the 20th was like 3 hours. I took a picture or video. 3 hours later, took another one. So this, and the other one was even longer durations. So these are long durations of these flights. I wanted to get some feedback about this 10% thing I saw in the message that went out. 10% of what? Of all flights from Midway? Is this going to be a regular thing? Who decides that it's going to be 10% of anything over our town? Is this an FAA thing? Is this a Chicago Department of Aviation thing? And I want us to be concerned about this because there's a slippery slope with some of these things. Government can be good and government can be selfish. And the city of Chicago is worried about the city of Chicago. And obviously, as trustees, you're worried about our village. And I just want to make sure that we're all concerned and all the residents are paying attention to this issue because it could get worse for us. And that's an erosion of our quality of life in our town and our property values. We didn't buy homes near the airport for a reason. Shame for those people that have to live next to airports or trains that blow their horns or whistles. Folks that live on busy streets. But unless you were there before they built O'Hare, or you were there before they built Midway, bought knowing what you were getting into. Well, we bought here for a reason. It's away from the airports. And we've always had O'Hare traffic, but it's up pretty high. I think it's spread out. It's occasional. It's there, but whatever. It always has been. So we can't say much about that. This is new. This new thing from Midway needs to be monitored and checked. And unless we're getting profit sharing or revenue sharing from the airport, I don't know if we do. As a community nearby the airport, I have a feeling the answer to that is no. Then they can route their planes over the city of Chicago and land on a different runway, in my opinion. I don't even know how they. Again, I would love to know if the FAA approves this, who approves this, and if it's going to continue, and if we can check it. And I'm sure that Brookfield, and I know Western Springs was in some of the communication that went out. All of the towns affected are, I'm sure, having a say in this as well. And I know that 17 people that complained, there were a whole lot more people that I talked to personally that were like, what's going on? So I just wanted to make sure
Well, thank you for your concern, Jeff, and we are on top of it, and we don't usually have dialogue during this part of the meeting. What I can tell you is we've been in communication. If you'd like more detail on that, you can contact Emily or Julia. They've been the one that have been on top of this, and we have received many complaints about this from our residents. So I would encourage you to call Julia or Emily and get the lowdown and see where we're at with this. Thank you, Jeff.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Anyone else care to present before the board? Okay, consent agenda, Amanda?
The items on this evening's consent agenda are as follows. A, approval of minutes, Village Board meeting, August 23rd, 2016. Village Board executive session, August 23rd, 2016. Work session meeting, September 13th, 2016. And Village Board executive session of September 13th, 2016. B, action 2016-17 tree trimming program. Motion to extend the 2015-16 tree trimming contract with Winkler's Tree Service for an additional year for $50,447.76, and to authorize the village manager to execute the necessary contract documents. C, action 2016 leaf loading, transportation, and disposal. Motion accepting the proposal of Rainbow Farm Enterprises for the disposal of leaves in the amount of $32.50 per bucket based on 18 buckets invoiced per truckload for a total contract not to exceed $30,000. And 2, to authorize the village manager to execute the necessary contract documents. D, action appointment and reappointments to Youth Commission. Motion appointment of new member William Akins for a 1-year term to expire on September 1st, 2017, and for the reappointments of Dessa Bulger, Charlotte Phillip, and Zoe Forthis for the 2-year terms to expire on September 1st, 2018. E, action TIF district implementation. Ordinance providing for TIF feasibility for Village Market. Motion to adopt an ordinance of the Village of LaGrange Park, Cook County, Illinois, providing for a feasibility study and report with respect to the designation of a certain area as a tax increment financing redevelopment project area. F, action TIF district implementation. Ordinance providing for TIF feasibility for 31st Street, Barnsdale. Motion to adopt an ordinance of the Village of LaGrange Park, Cook County, Illinois, providing for a feasibility study and report with respect to the designation of a certain area as a tax increment financing redevelopment project area. G, action TIF district implementation. Ordinance establishing interested parties registries. Motion to adopt an ordinance of the Village of LaGrange Park, Cook County, Illinois, authorizing the establishment of tax increment financing interested parties registries and adopting registration rules of such registries. H, action motion to authorize the president and chairperson of the Finance Committee to sign the register for bills and authorize the treasurer and village clerk to sign checks in the payment of operating bills and salaries as itemized in the check registers. I, action motion to authorize the village treasurer and village clerk to sign checks in the payment of payroll and other bills that become due between this date and October 25th, 2016, with subsequent approval of the payroll register and voucher register by the Board of Trustees at its regular meeting to be held on October 25th, 2016.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Amanda. Next up is our village manager's report. Emily?
Whether or not the village would be interested or willing to support the keeping of bees in the village. So, we have reached out to the park district to talk with the park district about whether or not that's something they would be pursuing. Has informed us that over the next month, the month of October, they will be holding 2
Thank you, Emily. As everyone's aware, Julie is out in a conference, and Emily has been running the day-to-day activities of the village, so thank you, Emily, for stepping up. Administration Committee, Trustee Lautner.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening I have 3 items to report on. The first is regarding our upcoming e-waste recycling event. We encourage our village residents to bring in your old computer and electronic computer equipment and get rid of it for free. The Village's Sustainability Commission is hosting its 6th annual e-waste recycling event on Saturday, October 15th from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. at the Village's Public Works Facility, which is located at 937 Barnesdale Road. This year, the Village will also be accepting used clothes and books for recycling. For more information on what items will be accepted, please call the Village or visit the Village's website. The second item is regarding the upcoming Community Cleanup Day. The Village's Cleanup Day is scheduled for Thursday, October 20th. Single-family residents in LaGrange Park will receive a one-time cleanup service on the regularly scheduled collection day. 4 refuse stickers are required to participate. If you choose not to participate, your trash will be handled as a regular pickup. Acceptable items must be placed next to your regular refuse on the curb by 6 a.m. For more information on this, please call the Village at 708-354-0225 or visit the Village's website at www.lagrangepark.org. The third item is regarding the upcoming LaGrange Park Chamber of Commerce events. We encourage the Village to join the LaGrange Park Chamber of Commerce for the annual Chili Fest event on October 15th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Community Park District Recreation Center. Compete with your favorite chili recipe or just enjoy an evening of live entertainment, beer, wine, and all the chili you can taste. All proceeds will benefit the Community Park District of LaGrange Park Scholarship Fund. Contact Sherry Sauer at 708-354-4205 to enter the contest. There are limited spots available, by the way, or for more information. Tasting cups will be available for $5 each. On Friday, October 28th, the LaGrange Park Chamber of Commerce will be sponsoring its annual Haunted Trolley Trick or Treat event. This free event will be held from 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Parents and children are invited to hop on a trolley at one of several locations, including the LaGrange Park Community Park District facility, the Village Market, and locations along 31st Street. The trolleys will travel along a designated route, dropping patrons at specified stops so that children can trick or treat amongst the various businesses. For those wishing to participate in the Community Park District's costume party, hop a trolley back to the Park District after the event to continue the fun with games, a magician, and more. For more information on this event, visit the Chamber's website at www.lagrangeparkchamber.org. And that is all the items I have to report on this evening, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Lautner. Moving on to Building and Zoning Committee, Trustee Zora.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to report on the following building department activities. 100 building permits were issued in August compared to 99 last August. 44 more permits have been issued so far this calendar year compared to last year. Estimated construction costs for the month, along with permit fees collected for the month, were significantly less than compared to last August. This can be partially attributed to a reduction in the amount of larger permits issued this August as compared to last. 210 inspections were conducted in August compared to 155 last August. 22 were not approved. Overall inspections conducted for this year are nearly identical to where they were last year. During the month, staff participated in a web-based training session with ComEd in regards to opening up their Joint Operations Center, which they would do during significant power outages. They reviewed roles of municipalities during opening of the JOC and the various communication tools we have to assess the span of outages. Staff was able to also update municipal contact information. During the month, staff met with the contractor regarding home demolition in the 300 block of Kensington. In this case, the owner has no current plans to construct a new home on the site. During the month, the applications were due for the position of the building official deputy building commissioner. It is hoped this position will now be filled by the end of October. And that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Zora. Engineering Capital Projects Committee, Trustee Casera.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one item to report on this evening. As part of the 2016 road paving project, GA Paving has completed the repaving on Brainerd Avenue. Due to the timing of school, Brainerd Avenue was identified to be the first street for construction. It was completed in late August. Also during this period, curb, gutter, and driveway aprons were removed and replaced on both sides of the 400 block of Stone, Wyola, and Spring Avenues, and the 400 and 500 blocks of Kensington Avenue. All the mainline combined sewer repairs on the streets to be resurfaced in the 2016 project have been completed. The resurfacing of these streets is expected to be completed by mid-September. And thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Casera. As Public Safety Committee, Trustee Messick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Police Department summary of activities for August of this year. The overall police service and assistance is lower than last year at this time, with 4,326 reported 2016 year-to-date as compared to 4,379 reported last year through August of 2015. The total number of crimes reported is slightly higher than last year. There were 154 in total from 2015 as compared to 195 reported through August of this year. Traffic enforcement continues to rise, with 4,405 total citations issued through August of 2016 as compared to 44,082 through August of 2015. The Board of Police Commission approved the appointments of Tim Giroulis and Frank Slabanak as probationary police officers. Tim is 23 years of age, a resident of Brookfield, and has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Lewis University. He will be attending the Basic Law Enforcement Academy at Triton College in conjunction with the Cook County Sheriff's Department from October 3rd through December 16th of this year. Frank is 23 years of age, married, father of 2 young children, and a resident of Palos Park. He is a part-time certified police officer and will need to attend the 2-week Illinois State Police Officer training course within 1 year of his hire date. He will begin his FTO training with OIC Morocco on October 10th and will continue through November 28th, 2016. On October 22nd, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the lobby area of the Grange Park Village Hall, the police department, in conjunction with the DEA, will be hosting a drug take-back program. And that concludes the police department report. On to fire department activities for the month of August. EMS responses for this month were 152. There have been 1,132 year-to-date compared to 1,165 year-to-date last year. Fire rescue incidents this month are 43, and there have been 314 year-to-date compared to 337 last year. During the month, staff continued to meet with vendors and assess purchasing options for our ladder truck, Quint. Staff visited various other fire departments to evaluate various vehicles from various manufacturers, and a few personnel traveled to the Pierce manufacturing plant in Appleton, Wisconsin to tour their plant. On August 2nd, the fire department assisted the police department at the National Night Out event with providing Sparky fire safety education materials and static fire apparatus displays. During the month, as part of our MABUS Division 10 hazardous materials response team training, a couple of our personnel were provided training by the Illinois National Guard 5th Civil Support Team. The Fire Station 1 painting project was completed during the month, which included pressure washing the walls and apparatus garage bay ceiling, and then painting the ceiling, various doors, piping, and trim. We should commend those personnel who helped with the project, especially Division Chief Norm Rick, who coordinated most of the project. Our staff did a lot of prep and moving work, including standby while fire apparatus was parked outside overnight. A couple of personnel also hand-washed the fluorescent lighting fixtures at the ceiling. The project really helped improve this area of the station, not only in appearance, but providing a somewhat healthier environment with removing all the soot and particles that had accumulated on the ceiling, conduit fixtures, and piping over the years. And with the swearing in of 5 or 6 new officers tonight, you can't say enough when you hear things like this, where not only are they paid on call and they keep our village very safe, they also even do a lot of the legwork on the stations, which provides further value to the residents, saving them more money. My commendations, Chief. And to all the department, we get similar response from our police department as well. And that concludes the public safety report, Mr. President. There are no action items.
Thank you, Trustee Messick. Public Works Department, Trustee Sheehan.
Thank you, Mr. President.
public work operations for the month of August. Brush pickup took place the first full week in August. 85 day shift hours were spent making several passes through town, removing approximately 158 yards of brush from the parkway. 169 and a half hours were spent vector cleaning, 116 catch basins, 1 valve box excavation, and 1 sewer cleanout excavation, removing approximately 79 tons of debris. Approximately 41 tons of asphalt was used during 126 and a half hours on street repairs, which includes filling potholes and water main excavation asphalt patches. The sweeper spent 67 hours cleaning over 145 village street miles and picked up 33 yards of debris. Barricades were delivered for 15 block parties during the month. 134 and a half hours were spent on the maintenance of public works equipment and vehicles. 71 and a half hours were spent on building and ground maintenance around Public Works Facility, Village Hall, and along 31st Street. 26 and a half hours were spent on tree trimming, work orders, and tree inspections. Work orders were completed with crews removing roadkill, picking up individual brush piles, repairing parkways, and making sign repairs. Various maintenance on vehicles, fire, public works, and police were performed. Water shift operations, over 531 day shift hours and 90.25 overtime man hours during the month of August were spent on maintenance and repair of sewer and water mains. 35,180,000 gallons of water were purchased from the Brookfield North Riverside Water Commission. 1,483 water meters were read in Section 2. 49 monthly accounts and 31 final meter readings were taken. Various inspections, appointments, and service calls were performed. 15 water bacterial samples were taken and all samples passed. 172 utility locations were identified prior to excavation. 5 buffalo box, valve box repairs were made. 6 water main and 2 service repairs were made. And Mr. President, if I could, for those watching at home tonight, to be reminded, starting tomorrow, northbound LaGrange Road from 31st through 29th will be reduced 1 lane during the day for the water main replacement. So I urge everybody to find an alternate route or to proceed slowly through that roadway. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Finance Committee report, Trustee Rocco.
Thank you, Mr. President. As of August 31st of this year, we were third way through our fiscal year. To date, as of August 31st, the general fund revenue is at 41% of the annual budget and approximately $149,000 less than last year at this time. Revenues are trending slightly below expectations due to declines in income tax and ambulance fees. Sales tax receipts are about 1.5% lower than last year, and telecommunication taxes are down by nearly 10%. Permit revenue is lower than last year by about $55,000. The difference is mostly due to a very large permit issued in July of 2015. Intergovernmental revenue is 13% lower than last year due to decreased receipts from income tax and personal property replacement tax. A drop in income tax revenue was expected because last year's receipts included one-time revenue due to federal and state tax legislation. However, the decrease in corporate income tax has been larger than anticipated. PPRT receipts will most likely continue at a decreased level due to the over-allocation adjustment and corresponding $100 million diversion for education included in the state's stopgap budget. Charges for services are about $40,000 lower than last year, due primarily to decreased ambulance service fee receipts. Total trips are lower than last year, and the percentage of Medicare trips has increased. Fine revenue is about 12.5% higher than the prior year. Transfers are greater than last year due to the new transfer from the MFT fund to the general fund to support street maintenance operations. One of the village's 5 water tower cellular leases was recently terminated due to network consolidation. The loss of the lease will reduce rental revenue by about $29,000 annually. Total revenue expenditures are within expectations at 29% of the annual budget and about $38,000 above last year. That concludes my report, and there are no action items, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Rocco. Commercial Revitalization Committee, Trustee Casera.
Thank you, Mr. President. At the September 13th, 2016 Village Board Workshop, the Village Board discussed the preliminary eligibility report and redevelopment area plans for 2 proposed TIF districts. The village's legal counsel spoke with the representative of the IHB Railroad regarding the annexation of their property adjacent to the former Praxair property, who reiterated that the IHB is amendable to the annexation. The village's development consultant engaged a subcontractor to begin working on the boundary legal description and annexation plot for the IHB Railroad parcel. And I'd just like, if I could, Mr. President, make a quick comment that it's a pleasure to report on the process or the ongoing work of the TIF and everybody involved in staff. And also, as a chairman of the Engineering Capital Projects, I get to report on our additional street work and street repair. That has always been one of the priorities of this village board. So I'd like to again thank staff and, most importantly, thank our residents who overwhelmingly supported our bond issue. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Casera. Okay, other reports, Village Clerk?
I just have one item. This Saturday, October 1st, from 10 to 12, I will be available at Village Hall to register voters for the upcoming November election. Next week, I will be available at Plymouth Place to register voters over there. And the last day to register in person here at Village Hall is October 11th. And that is all I have to report.
Thank you, Amanda. Our Village Treasurer? I have no report. Our Village Engineer?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. I have one brief item just to mention this evening as a follow-up to what Trustee Sheehan mentioned regarding the construction of the water main on LaGrange Road from just north of 31st to 29th. That work will take approximately a month, and there should be lane closures every day probably for the first couple of weeks and then intermittently thereafter. And just for information to the board, we did identify potential soil concerns with some of the soil spoil that will be removed as part of that project. So we will be approaching the village at a later date once more detail is available regarding a potential change order to accommodate the safe disposal of that soil. That concludes my report, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Flood. Our Village Attorney?
I have no report, Mr. President.
Motion to approve Committee and Collectors Report as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I have two items. Get to them quickly. Okay, the first item, the village currently has 4 vacancies to fill on the Youth Commission due to recent graduations and the resignation of a member. The village recently received applications from Jackson Chadish, Jack Tullis, and Julia Revin, who are interested in serving. Staff has discussed the role and responsibilities of serving on the Youth Commission and feel that they are well suited to join the commission. The copy of their application is attached. Therefore, I'd like someone to make a motion, or trustee to make a motion.
I move for the appointment of new members, Jackson Chadish and Jack Tullis, for 1-year terms to expire on September 1st, 2017, and the appointment of Julia Revin for a 2-year term to expire on September 1st, 2018.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Amanda. My second item is a sad item. As everyone is aware, or if you aren't aware, the passing of Bill Yana. Bill has been a figure in our community. He has taught at Forest Road. He moved on to Park Junior High. Just as important, him and his wife started our community park district in the basement of their home in the early 1960s. He kept at it, and it is where it is today, in large part to the efforts of Bill and Jean Yana. Bill was privileged to have a park named after him, the William G. Yana Park, over on the northeast side of our community. Bill contributed his time and effort to this community to make it better. I just want to say, it was a privilege to know him, and he's done a great job, great efforts for our community. He'll be well missed, but his legacy will go on, and I think we've all learned great things from this gentleman who tirelessly served our community. Any public participation of non-agenda related items? New business? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.